Hey y'all, welcome back to my She Reads series, episode 5, Because She Reads. And on this episode, I'm going to be talking about All About Love by Bell Hooks. Let me go get it. All right, so here is the book. And I read this book probably like over a year ago. I'm not even gonna lie at this point because my making video hobby had to take a hiatus because I was working and in school and just like really going through it. But hopefully I can get back into the flow now. I still want to go back and talk about the books I read last year as I catch up to like where I'm at now. I have like 5 more books on my nightstand waiting to be read. But I still want to talk about the books that I finished last year. So if that sounds interesting to you, I'm so glad you're here. Keep on watching. Okay, so this is the book All About Love by Bell Hooks. At this point, it is a classic. I mean, yeah, as a feminist, as a liberal, as a black feminist, however you want to spin it today, I have heard about this book a ton from all the black feminists I follow here on YouTube. So like Kimberly Nicole Foster, go check out our videos. So smart. Love her. Khadijah Mbow. Those are just some of like the YouTubers that I've been following for a while who have talked about this book. I'm pretty sure they have. And and just bell hooks in general is just such a staple in black feminism, and I've never read her before, so I was like, okay, I need to get into it. And so I read it. I also book clubbed this book with a few other people. Should I talk about the book club experience? Overall, I loved book clubbing so many books last year. There was someone in the book club that was quite resistant to the messaging in the book. And the meetings became like tiny little debates, and I was like, oh, I thought we were all on the same page. So I think that makes it even more important to read this book, is because like for us like-minded folks, like we got to understand that not everyone's bought in. Anyway, so I'm going to talk about some of the quotes that I really liked in this book, and then overall my thoughts on it. This is going to be interesting because I haven't read this in like a year. So I'm like, how much do I remember? Funnily enough, all of the quotes I have highlighted are from chapter 8, 9, and 10. There's 13 chapters total. So I remember reading this book, and I was just like kind of reading, and I'm like, okay. Like, I feel like I'm familiar with this. And then it wasn't until I got to chapter 8 where I was like, okay. Oh my God. Okay. So this is from chapter 8, Community Loving Community. Actually, let me read the back of the book first as a refresher. The word love is most often defined as a noun, yet we would all love better if we used it as a verb, writes Bell Hooks as she comes out fighting and on fire in All About Love. Here at her most provocative and intensely personal, the renowned scholar, cultural critic, and feminist skewers our view of love as romance. In its place, she offers a proactive new ethic for a people and a society bereft with lovelessness. As Bell Hooks uses her incisive mind and razor-sharp pen to explore the question, what is love, her answers strike at both the mind and heart. In 13 concise chapters, Hooks examines her own search for emotional connection and society's failure to provide a model for learning to love. Raising and cultural paradigm that the ideal love is infused with sex and desire, she provides a new path to love that is sacred, redemptive, and healing for individuals and for a nation. So Bell Hooks wrote this book in 2000, which was 25 years ago. Oh my God. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I do remember like reading this and feeling like it doesn't feel that modern. Which isn't a bad thing or a good thing. I just remember having that feeling of like, okay, yeah, this feels like it was written some time ago. And I mean, early 2000s, what a time for for women, American women. It was a tough time. Okay. So this first quote that I highlighted is from chapter 8, Community, Loving Communion. M. Scott Peck begins his book, The Different Drum, Community Making and Peace, with the profound declaration, in and through community lies the salvation of the world. Peck defines community as the coming together of a group of individuals who have learned how to communicate honestly with each other, whose relationships go deeper than their masks of composure, and who have developed some significant commitment to rejoice together, mourn together, and to delight in each other, and make others' conditions our own. I love that. I thought this chapter was so important because, like we said in the book description on the back, oftentimes when we think about love, we're only thinking about romantic love, and we are only prioritizing romantic love. And I really appreciate this chapter about community, and what community is, how important community is. Oh Lord. Couple thoughts. Number one, this makes me think about my personal journey with like finding romantic partnership. And for me personally, I had to get to a point where I could imagine my life without that and imagine that life still being beautiful and full of love. And I had to really like kind of manifest that. Manifest might be the wrong word, but just like really imagine that sort of reality or possibility for the future. And because I was just feeling so like sick from the idea of like being single forever, never having a family. It was like so devastating to me. It made me feel like I would rather die than be single. And so for me personally, I really had to like imagine, wait, if I don't have a romantic partnership, if I don't have, that kind of co-parenting relationship that I want, I can still have a super loving, beautiful, full life. And imagining a community loving me, friends, was a huge part of that. And it was so crazy because as soon as I like made peace with that and kind of moved forward with that idea in mind of like, I can't choose really the love that comes to me. I just kind of have to be open to receiving it when it inevitably does come, and be open to kind of whatever form that love comes in, on this huge spectrum of love. That's when I found my partner, who is amazing, kind, generous, all the things. Like it was nuts. And then second thing, when it comes to community and when it comes to the next 4 years and living under this kind of like oligarchy, I think as a Black woman, like my main power that I can wield is to build community. I don't really think I'm in a position to convince white people, white men, to see my worldview, because they don't listen to women and they don't listen to women of color. So I'm like, okay, well, what can I do during this time? And I think community building is a huge part of that. What's crazy though, honestly, is like Americans, so hard to build community with. Oh my God, because like I'll like throw a party and like no one will show up. Like dead ass no one will come. And I'll like try to have get-togethers, try to hang out with people, try to spend time with people in person, and I'm met with so much flakiness and so much resistance, which has been so disappointing. But I mean, what else can you do but keep on pushing? So I'm gonna keep trying to have the book clubs and the parties and the things, and hopefully, you know, the people who need to show up will. All right, the next quote that I really liked, same chapter. Capitalism and patriarchy together, as structures of domination, have worked overtime to undermine and destroy this larger unit of extended kin. Replacing the family community with a more privatized, small, autocratic unit helped increase alienation and made abuses of power more possible. It gave absolute rule to the father and secondary rule over children to the mother. By encouraging the segregation of nuclear families from the extended family, women were forced to become more dependent on an individual man, and children more dependent on an individual woman. It is this dependency that became and is the breeding ground for abuses of power. Oh my God. I'm so glad I'm doing this video right now because I haven't looked at these quotes since I read this last year, and it's just so on point with everything going on right now. I'm bewildered. My wilders, no, what is it? Flabbergasted. That's what it is. My flabbers are gasted. Okay. Capitalism and patriarchy together as structures of domination have worked overtime to undermine and destroy this larger unit of extended kin. Period. Right? And I was just watching that that Trevor Noah podcast. I love him, by the way. My number one celebrity crush. And he just interviewed, was it Robert Putnam? Something like that. And they were talking about something that he said was, studies show that loneliness is the single best determinant of who voted for Trump and who's conservative, right? So loneliness, right? Because it was that author, he wrote that book Bowling Alone, and so it was like all about like loneliness and community, and it was so good. And yeah, he said that loneliness, it's just so bad for us, y'all. It really is. And it allows people to be abused. So that's the other thing, y'all. Like, I'm really trying to build community and like no one cares. That's the other thing, right? Especially now that I'm in like this like hetero relationship. I am like, I can see it and I can feel the like hysteria of like generations and generations of like married women, and like the loneliness and the like feeling smaller, and like I can like feel it like knocking like on my back door. And so I'm really trying to resist, and I'm trying to be like, no, I need to get together with other people. I need to be out here like having loving relationships with other people besides him. You know what I'm saying? Damn. All right, next quote. Damn, I'm taking too long. Okay. Surviving and triumphing triumphing over dysfunctional nuclear families may depend on the presence of what psychoanalyst Alice Miller calls enlightened witnesses. Wait, hold on. Another thing I want to say about this is I can't remember who said it or where I heard it, but I remember hearing that individualism in the United States, the way that it manifests is not necessarily in individual people, it manifests as individual families. Okay. And it's like the isolation of the individual family. Girl, as someone who like wants to have kids, I'm terrified of like losing community. I need people to like come over and see me and help me with my kids. But it's like, and I'm trying to be that person for people too, but like, y'all hit me up. Okay. Surviving and triumphing over dysfunctional nuclear families may depend on the presence of what psychoanalyst Alice Miller calls enlightened witnesses. Practically every adult who experienced unnecessary suffering in childhood has a story to tell about someone whose kindness, tenderness, and concern restored their sense of hope. This could only happen because families existed as part of larger communities. As someone whose career has like centered around working with kids and working with young people, this is really key. So important that there are other adults to witness someone's childhood. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you as a child, the only adults who you really have are your parents, it's not good. It's isolating. And enlightened witnesses, this makes me think about the adults in my life who were more curious about me than maybe my parents were. That really made me feel so seen. This also makes me think of Oprah because she always talks about, you know, how she grew up in sort of an abusive household and how her teachers were like life-saving to her and were a huge source for her to like gain self-esteem. And it's like, imagine if we didn't have Oprah. Like, imagine if we didn't have these teachers who really have helped so many kids innumerably. Ugh. Okay. The next quote that I really like is, However, it can only become a community if there is honest communication between the individuals in it. Dysfunctional extended families, like smaller nuclear family units, are usually characterized by muddied communication. Keeping family secrets often makes it impossible for extended groups to build community. Yo, as a person of color and a first-generation American, the family secrets thing goes crazy. Immigrants love family secrets. They're obsessed. They gobble it up. I think Hassan Minhaj said that in one of his specials, and I was dying because it's so true. And it breaks down that community that we all need. And I just love that she said this too. And it's something that I tell my partner all the time of like, a base level skill for us as a partnership is honest communication. Period. End of story. I don't care. I don't care what it is. I don't care how hard it is to be honest with me about something, but it is the basis of a solid foundation of a relationship, because at least when we're able to communicate honestly with each other first and foremost, then anything is solvable. We can solve any problem. We can solve anything together, but we can't do that if we're not honest first and foremost. So I'm just really glad that she put this here. I think this is also honestly the reason why it's been so hard for me to find community in the workplace. And I don't mean like personally or interpersonally with coworkers, like as friends, like, you know, when you leave work. I mean like the relationship between the higher ups and the lower ups, the lower downs, the higher ups, and the front of the line employees, there's never space for like true open communication. And for me, someone who has always struggled with like with working, I have a lot of work trauma, and I think my neurodivergence doesn't make it any easier, because I'm very much a girl that's like, things need to make sense to me and things need to add up. And in the workplace, things don't make sense and they don't add up, and rules are made up for no reason. And anyway, if you get it, you get it. But I think like I've never really worked at a place. I've had like one or two supervisors who I can truly say like, oh, we had honest communication and it was a really great relationship. Both of which were very slow relationships because either I had to leave or the supervisor had to leave. But regardless, like every other place I've ever worked at, that honest communication from the beginning was never there. And so for me, it's like, how can I build like a real love and a real trust and a real safety and security here at this job? I can't. All right, the next quote I really like is, "The family that talks together stays together." Yeah. Coming from a family where, like, I just don't feel like I was heard. I don't feel like I was talked to, or talked with, rather. I was definitely talked to. This is just a reminder. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier about what I tell my partner of like, we need to start with the honest communication and then anything can be worked out through there. And this is kind of like a confirmation of that for me, because it says the family that talks together stays together. And I think, I mean, obviously if that talking is honest, and I think you will be able to actually get somewhere with that. Damn, these quotes are good. Okay. The next quote I really liked: "When we can be alone, we can be with others without using them as a means of escape." Oh my God. And this is still in chapter 8, Community, Loving Communion. Wow. So this emphasizes how important alone time is to community. Quality alone time is so important to community. And this is one of the reasons, is because if you're able to spend time alone and enjoy your alone time, that means you're not just using other people as a means of escape. You're not just using other people because you can't bear to sit with yourself. Ooh, by the way, power line. If we listen to each other's heart, we'll find we're never too far apart. Love this. I got it from Hot Topic. She's still that girl. Hot Topic. Love it. Anyway, love that. Obsessed. Okay, next quote I really love. Loneliness makes us cling to others in desperation. Solitude allows us to respect others in their uniqueness and create community. When children are taught to enjoy quiet time, to be alone with their thoughts and reveries, they carry this skill into adulthood. Yeah. Yeah. Loneliness makes us cling to others in desperation. Solitude allows us to respect others in their uniqueness and create community. Need I say more? Okay. Another quote that I really liked, we're in chapter 9, Mutuality, the Heart of Love. This is the first sentence in this chapter, okay? "Love allows us to enter paradise." I believe that, like, in a very spiritual level, especially because for me, love equals God. You know what I mean? Love equals arts. Love equals freedom. You know what I mean? Love allows us to enter paradise. So, okay. I don't know if I should talk about this, but this makes me think about the Bible. For me, I see a lot of it as a metaphor. And when I think about like heaven and hell, as like, for example, heaven and hell to me, they're not real as like places you go after you die because of how you are during life. To me, they are metaphors for heaven on earth and hell on earth. Heaven, paradise, often described as, which is love. You know? And hell is a metaphor for like the hell we create in our own minds and in our own ego and in our own misery. Oh my God, is this the last quote? All right, the last quote that I really loved is from chapter 10, Romance, Sweet Love. If you do not know what you feel, then it is difficult to choose love. It is better to fall. Then you do not have to be responsible for your actions. Tea. Ooh. I feel like, okay. How do I say this? Those people who like talk about love as like, you can't help who you love. You can't choose who you fall in love with, but they use those as like excuses as to why you, as to like why you should stay in like a toxic relationship. You know what I mean? Like, that's what this makes me think of. If you don't know what you feel, then it's difficult to choose love. It's better to fall in love. Damn. Whereas, like, if you're sure of this person, it is, like, an active choice that you're making. I love that. Wow, I'm so glad, like, I made this video today because, yeah, like, I haven't looked at this book in over a year. And, yeah, I thought it was really good. I thought it was provocative and so well written and so well worded. The language is very concise, but also very profound. Yeah, Bell Hooks is that girl. I think that's all I have for y'all today. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye.